Yes, what's up? What's happening? Boston has entered the chat.
Get in there.
Get that energy, baby. He's Travis Thomas and George Balekji. We're in the PNC Bank studio. T, how we doing today,
Doing great, man. You know, we've entered the chat. And it really isn't a chat until we all show up. You know what I mean? So now we're all here. Boston has entered the chat. Let's chat it, baby.
Yeah, make sure to email us, thechat@nesson.com. You want to join the conversation, send in a question, advice, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Call in 617-790-0928. You can leave us a voicemail as well. Tweet at us on social. And wherever you get your podcast, like, subscribe, rate, review.
Yeah, George is used to this kind of setting. He has a friend group where it's 17 of them on a text line. So
Not going to let that go.
I mean, you know, like, come on in. However many of you want to enter the chat with us, come on in. George is used to it.
If I allowed my 17 boys, 16 because I'm one of the 17.
You're one of the 17.
If I allowed them to like enter the chat,
oh,
we wouldn't get a word in there. They'd just be flaming me the whole time. It'd be the worst thing ever. It'd be my nightmare come alive. I'm telling you that. Not much going on in that group chat except chirping each other. It ain't pretty. Ain't for the weak of heart. Hey, let's get into what's trending.
All right.
Remember who we were talking about was a GOAT last time we were on the show?
Simone Biles.
What'd she do? Got her 7th career gold medal.
Crazy.
And in the vault with the finish, I don't know what the move's called. I was reading an article. Apparently
the Biles.
Yeah, they call it the Biles 2.
There you go.
It was like a something, something, something or Biles 2.
There it is.
And I'm like, sure. I don't know how anyone can do it. I vault, that's the one thing I watch. And like when I watch tennis or when I watch hockey, like I've played it, I've tried it, very difficult. I have a respect for it. I will never be able to comprehend how difficult vault is because I will never try that because I'm not insane. She nailed it and she's so good. And again, over the span of 2016 to now, still getting gold. And in 2016, it was vault, floor, and all around. She has gold in 2 of those 3 events now. Insane.
Wait, you have tried other gymnastics, just not the vault?
No, I've never tried any.
I was like, so what did you try?
I mean, I could walk on the beam. I'm not leaping.
All right.
I've done rings at the gym. I can get up.
All
but
right.
I'm not actually doing anything.
Yeah. You're just like doing muscle ups.
I'm going to hurl myself off a vault and do... No.
I know. It's crazy.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah. She's just got an all-around game. I mean, she can do everything. She has, moves named after her, the whole 9. I'm not surprised at all. I mean, we've spent a lot of time on the show giving her flowers as the GOAT, as the greatest of all time. Here's where I'm at, though. And this happens in sports a lot. We see it. And we say this term where these players almost play themselves healthy. So, like, you have a lingering injury. You're not going to miss time for it. It's just one of those pain tolerance things. And then as the season goes on, usually it's a football player or a basketball player, but as the season goes on, you're dealing with the injury, and next thing you know, a couple weeks, couple games in, it's like, all right, they've either got used to the pain or they're getting healthier while playing. That's how I feel watching Simone Biles at this point because she had that nagging calf injury. And for so long, we watched her labor through a lot of these, competitions as it is. And now she looks smooth and explosive, and she's sticking these dismounts with no discomfort. She's not limping around. So I'm like, damn, I think she's getting healthier as she continues to compete. She is just the GOAT. There is nothing else to say. She is tough as nails mentally and physically. I wish she had it in her tank to go one more Olympics. I don't think she'd be as dominant. Father Time's undefeated. But her, even at her advanced age and stage of her career in another Olympics, I guarantee you would still medal, maybe even a gold or 2. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think enjoy it now because I do believe this is probably the end that we're seeing.
I think if she was proposed with that and I was her, I'd say, hell no, get out of my face.
I don't think she's going to do it.
It is such a lifetime buy-in. Like when you're young, doing gymnastics, how demanding it is.
Right.
We know the mental toll it takes, especially to execute and the expectations she's carried.
She's not going to do it.
No one's ever done this.
Yeah.
3 separate games to get gold in the first games you were in, 2016 for her, and now. That window is so long. It's not like traditional American sports. Gymnastics is so hard. She's one of the oldest competitors.
That's right.
And still to get gold shows how skilled she is, how talented, just how damn right good she is.
Yeah.
This point, you got the 2 golds in these games.
Yep.
Most decorated gymnast of all time. Most decorated American gymnast of all time, obviously.
Yeah.
Sail off into this.
I think she's ready.
She should do?
She's ready, too.
Chase Summer. Be happy.
He loves saying Chase Summer.
When I say that, that means I'm retiring. Give you a call one day, 20 years down the road. Hey, T, I'm going to start chasing summer, bro.
20 years? You got longer than that.
I'll send you a postcard from
You ain't retiring no damn 20 years. You'll
from
be like
south
40.
of France.
You'll be 40.
Bro, I don't want to work my whole life.
You're
I
not
love
retiring
working.
at 40, dog.
Nah, I wish. I live in Boston. You think I could retire at 40?
All right, I'm going to guess your retirement age. I think you go traditional. You're going to get to 65. I don't think you're going before 65. You're going to want to.
I want to.
But you're gonna make it to 65, and then what you'll do, knowing you, once you hit that point, you're gonna go hard. Like your retirement's gonna be different than other. Like me, I'm gonna retire on a porch, have some lemonade, nice shade, maybe some sort of Al Green or Isley Brothers playing.
I like that.
Just chilling. You know what I mean? You're gonna travel all over the place. You're gonna chase summer. You're gonna find a lake. It's gonna be a lot going on.
Yeah, I'm going to find a lake in the middle of Europe.
See?
And I'm going to spend a month there. Same vibes, though. Coffee,
Same vibes.
Charles Aznavour
Just a
every
different
morning.
just a different view, literally. You'll have the Alps. I'll have, pretty much like a lazy river.
As much as I love Charlestown, I can't stare at Boston traffic the rest of my life.
Nah, yeah, I
You know
feel
how
that.
goes. Hey, NFL came back with the preseason, the Hall of Fame game. Bears beat the Texans 21-17. Did you watch? I did not watch a second.
I did watch, hoping to see Caleb Williams. And then once I
knew he
realized,
wasn't gonna play.
Yeah, I know. Once that didn't happen, I was out of there. But I was glad to see football on my screen.
I have to watch my bandwidth. We're going to be watching so much football.
Oh,
I can't do the burn myself out
your
with the
girlfriend
preseason.
will get upset.
Boom. That's the key one. You read my mind. I'll never forget. During the day, I forget what it was. Maybe woke up, was watching the Patriots game. I think we left for a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe went to her sister's house or something. Football was on.
Yeah.
We get back Sunday Night Football. I turn it on. She goes, enough. I can't. It was the noise.
Yeah.
So I go, let me try it through my soundbar on Bluetooth.
Yep.
I played music. I watched football. I can do that. I let her play her music. She's like, oh, I could do this.
Okay.
So I found that happy
Compromise.
medium.
Yeah.
Wasn't the worst thing.
Yeah, my thing is, because I'm a college football junkie too, as you know.
I think that's what it was. It
So
was
it's
Saturday
tough.
into Sunday.
It's tough. So what I have done now and has worked for me over the years is Saturday is for the family. So I'll record. I'm a big college game day fan, so I record that show. I take the family. Usually we have sports anyways in the mornings. Then right after sports, this is the key. You go out and you do something with the family. So the wife can't say you didn't spend family time, right? As long as I'm home by 3:30, which is really when you start getting into the great college. The noon games are kind of worthless usually. So morning, all day, up until 3:30, family time. I'm good the rest of the weekend.
You don't
It's
like
beautiful.
Wisconsin Northwestern
Yeah,
kickoff
not
in
really.
Evanston?
No, I just follow that on my phone. I'm fine with that.
Bro, when I lived out there, it was 11 a.m. kickoffs local time. It was brutal. It was brutal. Barely like getting the dust out of my eyes from covering high school football that Friday night. Got to wake up, sleep, and then it would be Sunday morning. Wake up 6 a.m., drive to Green Bay 3
Packers.
hours. Bro, I ran myself into the ground like 2 months in. All right, talking NFL. Tyreek Hill,
Yep.
voted #1 player in the NFL top 100. You want to hear our opinions on that? Go over to Foxborough Rush. We had a deep
Yeah, we
combo.
did.
But
We did.
you and I are lock and step. Mahomes is #1.
Yeah, by the way, Foxborough Rush, you can tune in on Nesson's YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you follow us on all your social media accounts for all of our best content. I think Mahomes not being one's ridiculous, and we both know it. Everybody knows it.
So then Tyreek Hill also had this happen to him. Dolphins restructured his deal. 3 years, $90 million. So in March 2022,
Yep.
he signed a 4-year deal with the Fins, $120 million total value, but it was like $65.5 million guaranteed.
Right.
Now in August, 2 years into the deal, they gave him a 3-year restructured contract worth $90 million. Didn't add any years. Gave him more guaranteed money. Brings up his total guaranteed $106.5 million. Most ever for an NFL wide receiver in NFL history. Not having any years added surprises me, but the Dolphins doing this, avoiding any drama with Tyreek Hill, doing right by him. And again, I say this, it's what the Patriots are doing a ton. Projecting
Yes.
to free agents, to anyone out there. You come to Miami, you show up and play well, we'll give you the guaranteed money, we will pay you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I also think the championship window's open for them, George.
Yeah.
I know you don't believe it. I don't.
I don't think it's open at all.
I do. I don't.
Not with Tua.
I don't believe they're going to win it, but I think they have a real shot. And you've heard me say this, and I really believe it. And I will be betting accordingly. I think the Dolphins are going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. I really do.
There's no way.
There's no way?
No. That defense lost a lot. They couldn't beat good teams last year. Like, literally winning record. Completely different team, execution-wise, everything. Same thing with Tua. And as a quarterback, I don't think he can execute the way they need to. I do believe in what the upgrades the Bengals have given Joe Burrow up front. Mm-hmm. And I know you're very skeptic of his health, and I understand that. Mm-hmm. And I just still think the Chiefs are the Chiefs. And that offense will find a way with big upgrades in the wide receivers room, which matters. I just think that the Dolphins, to be the number 1 seed, I don't think it's realistic.
So max for the Dolphins, you have them winning the division, if I'm not mistaken.
That's their ceiling in the regular season. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and I still go Jets.
We agree there, at least, that the Dolphins could win the division. I do believe they'll be in play for a 1 seed. I do not necessarily believe they can or will win a championship, but the championship window's open. And so at this point, if you're them, they've committed financially to Tua. They're restructuring here with Tyreek Hill, as you said, in your words, doing right by him, making sure he's happy and not a malcontent or complaining. When you look at all the receivers getting paid right now, think of Brandon Ayuk in the Bay, right? He's upset because of that, and he hasn't touched it. So the Dolphins are taking care of Tyreek Hill. They've already taken care of Jalen Waddle. Offensively, forget it. We know with Mike McDaniels, they're going to be ridiculous. If the defense can just be average, I do not speak for George. I personally believe the Miami Dolphins can be the number 1 seed in the AFC, and then we'll see what happens. We all know when you get to the playoffs, who the hell knows, and we know the boogeyman resides in Kansas City. So you could face that issue. But I'm expecting big things from the Dolphins this year. I think Tyreek Hill stays healthy. I think their offense could be historic, and I do believe Tua is going to be an MVP candidate. Not saying Tua is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen, but in that system, he looks it. So I could see Tua having a really big season this year.
He could have a big season, but if an MVP goes to anyone, it should be Tyreek Hill.
Of course.
Because he drives that offense.
Of course.
He drives that offense.
Yes, he does.
And one I'm just still thinking, Chiefs, Texans,
sure,
taking a leap, Bengals, those are teams I put over. Baltimore, I don't. It's regular season. We're talking.
Yeah.
Browns.
They could be a 1 seed, I guess.
If Deshaun Watson can be serviceable,
right?
If he can be reliable with that defense,
yeah.
And we know what Kevin Stefanski could do as a head coach.
That's what Flacco was last year for them. He's just reliable,
right? Jets on paper. We'll see if Rodgers can make it the whole way through.
Sure.
But Jets, very, very talented team on both sides.
You buying Harbaugh and the Chargers? Would you throw them in there?
For an upgrade, 7 seed, 6 seed, I still think there's a lot. I mean, they have the foundation of an offensive line.
Okay.
But they're saying cap hell, and that defense never stays healthy. Like, Derwin James is great, but he's just not consistently on the field.
You buying the Texans in that grouping?
I buy the Texans, second year in Bobby Slowick's system.
All right.
And what they did to upgrade, getting Danielle Hunter, signing him as a free agent.
Okay.
30 years old, one of the best pass rushers in the league, and how talented that secondary is. And even adding to it in this draft, I think there's a lot of good buying there. Last one I'd end on is with Tyreek Hill. And again, the projection, voted number 1 in the NFL Top 100. That's voted on by players. That's voted on by your peers.
Right.
Tyreek Hill is well-respected around the league, well-liked. A lot of guys would probably listen to him. Hey, man, thinking about signing with the Dolphins. Should I do it? Yeah. You see what they did for me? They paid me that $65.5 million guaranteed when I got here. And then you know what I did? Balled out 2 years, and they gave me $106 in the same span of the same contract.
Facts.
$106 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's what changes a lot.
Took care of his teammates, too. Guys got paid.
Jalen Waddle this offseason.
Tua. Let me ask you this. Is there a better city as an athlete in America to be paid than Miami? That is a great question. Like, if you're paid, you get max, your super max contract NBA. You're making Jason Tatum money, Jaylen Brown money. Is there a better city to get that contract in America in sports than Miami?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
You got lifestyle, you got weather.
Right? Is there a better city?
You know, one like catches my eyes like Tampa, but Miami's
better in Tampa.
If you're thinking taxes, Houston, Dallas, but Miami's better than both of those.
Miami's better than them. I think it's Miami.
I wouldn't even put Vegas in there.
No.
Because the best part of Vegas you don't want to be a part of. That
it's
strip
the desert, bro.
We're
talking about Miami, Poppy.
You don't want to say Buffalo?
Nope. Didn't even make my list.
freeze your ass off up there.
What's
New York-
the worst?
I'd
Buffalo?
I'd say Buffalo.
All right.
Maybe Jacksonville.
Jacksonville's bad?
I think Denver's underrated.
Denver's underrated.
Denver's great.
It ain't Miami,
Weather-wise,
though.
Lifestyle.
It ain't Miami.
Seattle's underrated.
Too far. Too isolated.
I wouldn't want to be paid in Detroit.
I like
Minnesota.
Detroit. Detroit's got character.
Oh, worst has to be Green Bay.
Worse than Buffalo? Hey, bro, I don't think so. You get spotted cow beers.
No, they do not care.
What do you mean?
They do not
You get
care.
cheese curds.
At least Buffalo, you're right by Toronto, Montreal.
You get
Green
wings.
Bay, you got nothing.
You
bro.
get buffalo wings.
You got nothing out there.
We need some sort of a poll or something that people can vote.
Bookmark this.
Worst city to be paid as an athlete in America. Best city to be paid as it sounds like Miami's number one.
We had a similar discussion of like what city you'd want to be in the night you win your championship.
Oh,
Vegas has to be up there. See? Miami, same
yeah,
thing.
probably Vegas though. I've been in Miami for a championship.
Depends
it
what
was lit.
team you are. Depends what team you are. Like Florida Panthers, no one cared. You know?
Fair.
Heat, Dolphins, people would make a big thing about
Dolphins, yeah, absolutely.
it. It's cool to look.
Yeah.
All right, talking about sixth city to be in when you win a championship. Paris, Team USA,
Oh, I
on
see.
track
I
for the
see
gold.
what you're doing there.
This is what I learned from co-hosting with you, man.
I like
Good
it.
segues. Team USA beat Puerto Rico 104-83.
Yeah.
Tatum, 10 points, 10 rebounds.
Man.
Anthony Edwards, game high, 26 points off the bench.
Man.
All the flack Steve Kerr's getting, maybe they're starting to hit their stride. This Puerto Rico team, literally everyone on that roster is playing in the Olympics for the first time.
Yeah.
You put any weight into this win? Get out the group stage. Get
I mean, you
number
have to. Yeah, you have to put weight in any time Team USA wins and looks halfway decent. I was one of those people. You said Steve Kerr catching flack. I was giving him hell. How's that sound? Forget flack. But I've since chilled out because he has at least shown me now that he's capable of change. That he is flexible. He's not rigid. He's not stuck in his ways. He's tinkering with lineups and changes and minutes for guys, and that's all I was screaming for during the exhibition stages, which he was not doing that. He was sending the same starting five out, particularly Joel Embiid, and it was ticking me off. Now he's showing that he can mix and match. So I let Steve Kerr off the hook. I disagree with you that it seems like Team USA is hitting their stride. The reason why I disagree is because they have yet to put it all together. I don't know what's going on with Steph Curry. I don't.
Yeah.
But early, like exhibition games, he was money. Serbia, he was money. Since he has not been. I don't know what's going on, but he's in a shooting slump. He doesn't look right. I think Anthony Edwards in this last game coming alive was a good thing because it almost seemed like, and Anthony Edwards spoke about this after the game, it almost seemed like all of your greats were deferring to him because he had the hot hand. LeBron, KD, Steph. Hey, take it, young man, rumble, and he was. I think that's a good thing. So I think at some point throughout this thing, and hopefully it's in the right moment, maybe it's in the gold medal game, I don't know. But everything's going to come together. Anthony Edwards, Steph's going to get his touch back, KD, Bron, Kerr's going to get the lineups right, Embiid's actually going to play well. I just think at some point it's all going to come together, and we'll get a glimpse of, wow, that is reminiscent of the OG Dream Team. That's what it looks like. This team just hasn't been consistent with it, George. That's all.
Even Anthony Edwards on that steal and dunk he had, like that iconic moment for him.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. They haven't been consistent yet. I don't know if they'll ever have to be. We
Maybe.
just saw Germany upset
Maybe.
France.
Right.
So there will be the bigger teams, the stronger teams. France and Germany will give them trouble.
Yes.
Canada, if they run into them again, will give them trouble just because of their skill on the perimeter and have an SGA, a guy that can take shots. So that's where they come out. It still is. And we don't like their strategy on the floor. They could be messing around.
Yeah.
Hey, when it gets to this point of the game, we know who we're playing. We have to play in-game scenarios right now. We have to wait for this tournament play. Where do we want to go with this when we match up with Germany against France? Even like Serbia, if they run into them again, led by Jokic, or Greece, all this. So
Canada, whoever.
that's where I'm fine with it. It's good to see Tatum find some groove. Because we didn't know if you'd ever dig out of that hole.
I know.
And that's still where Steve Kerr is unforgivable and like how he started out this whole thing.
Yeah, no doubt. But at least he's playing them. And then, you know, when he started him against South Sudan, Tatum looked rusty and out of sorts. And now he's starting to get his rhythm, which is to be expected, right? He didn't play during the exhibition, really. He was late to camp to begin with. So now we're seeing Tatum be Tatum. But I just think, again, I'm giving Kerr some credit here. He's finally figured out who to play and when. I respect that. I just believe this team will be more dangerous when they all get on the same page at some point, because it is yet to happen. It's ham, no burger. Peanut butter, no jelly. At some point, they're going to put it all together, and then it's on.
Ham, no burger?
Yeah.
You put ham, like sliced ham on your
hamburger? You got to have a hamburger. You understand?
Oh. I was picturing ham, like deli
Nah,
ham.
ham, no burger.
Dude, I'm from Jersey. You know everything. I hear ham, I'm thinking like
deli.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what? Doesn't sound terrible. I've just never tried it. I'm like, you said cheese,
Just
no
say
burger.
cheese, no burger. Is that better?
I get the ham, no burger. I get that's the old head sayings you still got. Hey, speaking of NBA, check out this convo I had. Michael Carter-Williams, one of the coolest people I've ever met. Humble as can be, great all-around dude, a legend in college basketball, a legend in the story of the NBA. Check out my convo with him. We got a snippet for you guys right here. You don't think of like Mass as a big hub, but there's you, George Niang, Bruce Brown, just one or two. I'm sure there's guys I'm leaving off the list. What was that like?
Terrence Mann's one of them.
Terrence Mann, you're right. Yeah, of course, from North Shore. What was that like when you were growing up, playing in high school, and then you made that decision of, I need to go down to Barrington, Rhode Island. I want to give myself like the best possible decision, because to be so young, that's like such a vastly like mature decision, and like to see so far down the road to do that. Like, what was that like, and did it kind of open your eyes of like, all right, this is real. Like, I want to get that D1 scholarship. I want to go to the NBA.
Yeah, I knew. So when I went to Hamilton, it was like I was like a big fish in a small pond. It was great though. You know, I had fun. You know, we had a great team. But you know, I knew that if I wanted to reach, you know, my goals of where I wanted to play Division I, you know, I would have to go somewhere else that was more competitive league. I looked at a few schools. St. Andrews to me just felt like, you know, more of home than anywhere else. But it was hard. It wasn't easy at all. Like, you know, being away from the family, being away from your friends, it was tough, you know, to be in a different state. I know it's not that far away, but far enough where, you know, I was missing, you know, a lot of the things that were happening at home. But, you know, I always, you know, prayed and knew that, you know, the sacrifice would be worth it.
Yeah. It's not far, but for 15, that's like worlds away.
Yeah. No, it was tough being at home, you know, just being away from my parents, my brothers and sisters, like, you know, it was tough. And, you know, boarding school, you know, living up at school isn't easy. So,
even though playing all the time, when it came time for you to go to Q's, what was that moment like when you got there? Because I think it's so impressive for anyone, like, to be a D1 athlete, like any sport is nuts. But then you get there and you go, okay, there's still more. Like, I can get to the league. So what was that first moment like at Syracuse? You're like, all right, welcome to college hoops. But also that part where it gave you confidence of, I have what it takes to get past Syracuse and go to the NBA.
Yeah, you know, I think it was in our practices. You know, we had an amazing team that year. We had a, you know, amazing starting five. We had an amazing backup five. You know, our backup five was like me, Deion Waiters, CJ Fair, Raheem Christmas, and Bai Musakita. So, like, our backups were, you know, they could have started, you know, that year. And, you know, obviously our first five was, you know, with Scoop, Randon, Chris Joseph, Fab Mello. Like, you know, we had a tough starting five. So every day was a war in practice. So, you know, I got my ass kicked a lot. But, you know, I think at that moment, you know, the good days that, you know, I had there and you know, I was successful. I was like, okay, if I can be successful here, when, you know, there's guys here that can play in the NBA right now, then I can be successful in the NBA.
And it definitely paid dividends your first year for you guys to make that Final Four run in year two, I bet.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we got the experience. We had the competitiveness in practice every day that definitely set us up for, you know, hard times to get to the Final Four the next year.
What was that run like? I mean, there's magic, but there's like magic if it happened at a basketball school like Syracuse.
Yeah, I mean, it was a time. Like, we gelled at the right time. We felt like in the zone. We felt like everybody was moving as one. Like, the school was behind us. You know, every game we won, you know, everybody was lit. Like, it was dope. It was a great time, you know, to be at Syracuse.
And then when you go to draft night, you get picked first round, taken by Philly. Again, I feel like that's like a dream route. Like, you go to a great basketball school like Syracuse. You go to a great sports city, period. like Philadelphia, and then your first night in the NBA, go off against Miami Heat. Was it 22 points, 12 assists, 7 boards, 9 steals?
Yep.
You went like 4 for 6 from 3. What was that experience like of like my first night in the NBA? Like you put yourself on the spotlight and like told everyone you're here.
Yeah, I mean, it was surreal. Like, I mean, I didn't go into the game expecting that. But I was confident. I was so happy to finally play a game. Like, it was my first time in the NBA, going through an NBA training camp. That's when training camps were like for real. It wasn't like nowadays where it's like, all right, we got 1-2 a day and the rest we're just gonna relax. No, like these were 4 days, 2 a days, like picking up full court practices, and we're going hard in practice. We had a young team. Brett Brown was a new coach. Like we had dog days. So I was like, man, finally the game has come. Like, we get to play a real game. So I didn't know what to expect. I was just going in there and just flowing. And, obviously, it turned out real well. And I was telling all my homies that, like, man, I think we had like Miami Heat, then we had Chicago, then we had Washington with John Wall, we had San Antonio with Tony Parker, and like, they were like, man, you got a tough 5 games. And I was like, I'm about to kill.
Was that like an out-of-body experience at that point,
100%,
though?
100%.
It was everything you were doing in night one. Like, everything. You were the best player on the floor. And it was LeBron James on that floor, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. Was that like an out-of-body experience that night?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I was, like I said, I didn't know, I just wanted to win the game. Like, we were just, obviously the game started getting fun. It was close. The crowd was going crazy. We're in the city of Philadelphia, first game against the champs the year before. My parents are in the crowd. They're sitting courtside. So, everything was just, it was a night that, I'll never forget.
And your whole rookie year, I mean, we could go through all the moments. Average 16, 6, and 6, won rookie of the year. What was that run like? And what was that like you didn't do it just for one night. You were able to do it for an entire season. And again, like, have that confidence of being in the NBA and performing at that level. Yeah,
obviously, I had the ball in my hands a lot. I was able to be successful on the floor. It was great. It was a competitive, thing, of trying to win Rookie of the Year. I remember this, it was just a goal of mine that I wanted. Even, since I got drafted, I was like, man, I'm gonna have a great opportunity. And not many people thought I could win it,
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. But, I had confidence in myself. I was like, I got a chance. I just got to go take it.
And yeah, for not many people to think you would win it, count you out on that. And I know there's like the knocks of like whatever that draft year was. And it's the same thing we're hearing right now for this draft that just came through, right? They say it's like a down year draft. Rookie of the year is rookie of the year. Like, I don't care about that. And it's also what you did with your career of like 9 seasons in the NBA. Like, that's hard. People think, it's a given at this point. When you look back on your career, like, what sticks with you the most? Are you most proud of?
I think my perseverance. I went through a lot of things that, people don't know. I went through a lot of injuries. I probably had like 5, 6 surgeries. Coming back from each one of those, going ups and downs, playing, then not playing, being in, being out of the rotation, start of the season, being out of the rotation, keeping my mind level to, be patient and work my way into the rotation. So, I think my perseverance was something that, I'm super proud of. I think that there's a lot of guys who, when things don't start going their way, they kind of just collapse and they're like, you know what, if I can't play this way, if I can't do the things that I want to do on the court, then I don't want to be here, or they check out. And I think a part of me was, okay, maybe I don't love my role in this team, but I'm going to play that role as best as I can to, maybe get some more time so that I could do things that I want to do on the court, right? Like, so I always tried to, they call it play the system or a little bit, but you know what I mean? I've always was trying to play the system, trying to get in the coach's ear and be like, hey, what do you need from me so I can get on the court, right? And I think that's something that is a lesson that's hard to learn from a lot of guys. And some guys go through that and they're like, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm going overseas and I'm, playing my game. And then the guys that are able to be like, adapt, they make a long career for themselves.
And that jumped out to me looking at like just your stats throughout the years. Your minutes never really dipped that low. Like, you were always a contributor, especially your first 5 years in the league. Like, double-digit scorer, around 5 assists a game, around 5-6 rebounds a game you were averaging. But how tough was that with what you did in Philly? And then I think a year and a half in, they just traded to Milwaukee. Was that something, again, you were very young, of like, what's going on.
Yeah, that was tough for me. That was hard. I didn't understand it. I was always part of the plans in Philly. Even when I didn't, necessarily ask, to be in meetings and to contribute, my opinion when I was asked. I think it was hard for me. I didn't understand why. I never felt the feeling of, being traded, kind of that betrayal of what that was like. So yeah, no, it was tough. It was an experience that I had to go through, as a basically as a kid. So it was a tough thing that still don't understand. I don't try to understand it. It is what it is. It's the name of the game. So but everything happens for a reason, and I just kind of eventually I had to take it in stride and move on.
And you did, and it was again like 2 seasons in Milwaukee. What was that like? Was it again a reset of your game, a reset of your role? Because you go from being what you were in Philly to now you're playing with Jabari Parker and Giannis when you were there. And then also talk about systems, playing for a whole new head coach and Jason Kidd, who probably had a whole different approach to the game and everything.
Right. It took me some time to adjust. We made the playoffs, one year, and we did our thing. We lost to Chicago, but it was a great experience. We were a young team. It kind of set the core for Milwaukee, right? You know what I mean? Though I don't think if they didn't go through those moments, Giannis being a young guy going in the playoffs, getting his butt kicked, Chris, Middleton, same thing, right? Like, that eventually turns into, them winning a championship, right? And going through those tough moments, was probably able to help them, going through tough moments, in the playoffs when they did end up winning it. So it was cool, man. It was a great experience, the playoff atmosphere. Totally, Milwaukee went from, when we played home games against Chicago, it felt like we were playing away games to, what they are now, right? Yeah. So it was a great experience overall.
Were there any nights when you're playing with Milwaukee, you're looking at him like, this kid is like raw, but he's good and he's going to be special?
Yeah, man. It was like, I would watch him play, and there would be like 5-6 moments in the game where you're like, whoa, like if he can do that 12, 13 times a game, and then that turns into 20 times a game, like he's going to be unstoppable, right? And, you'd get those little moments and be like, man, like that's pure talent right there. And then over the years, as he kept working and as he kept progressing, his body filled out, his body caught up to his skill, and it was over then.
We always know like Giannis is one of the biggest competitors. Like will run through any wall that is in front of him, just wants to win. Do you have any story from your time with Giannis where like that's like the real deal? What you see is what you get, and what you hear about Giannis is true.
Oh yeah, I mean it was every night. Like we'd call it night school. We'd come back, after practice, after games. We'd come back. We'd shoot at night. We'd lift, play 1-on-1. I remember him and Jabari played 1-on-1. And, we're all talking trash, bickering back and forth. They're going at each other, calling tic-tac fouls, being soft. And then, we decided, like, hey, like, we're not calling no more fouls. Like, you just got to play through it. And that kind of messed me up because I'm the smallest one out of them two. So they start, lowering their shoulder into me. And I'm like, dang, did I mess up by saying no more foul calls? But, like, it just taught us to be, tough and to go through things and don't let the physicality stop us from, scoring the ball. And, at that moment when we were playing there, I was like, man, both of them at the time, I was like, man, these dudes are going to be unstoppable.
You spoke about, your perseverance through the league, and you detailed it in your Players Tribune article. I think it was great. Like anyone out there always loved the Players Tribune of seeing the athletes open up, and like you wrote it, you said your story. It wasn't just a physical toll. You mentioned the injuries to your body, but like the mental health battles that you had throughout the league. What was that like trying to figure that out? And it was before the resources are what we have today, where you can speak open about it. Where it was where you were, 8-9 years ago, you can't be as open about therapy. You can't be as open about dealing with anxiety, depression, anything. So what was it like trying to navigate that and figure it out, and for you to finally find your solution where you felt better and you were treating yourself and looking out for yourself?
Yeah, man, it was a hard thing for me to do. Going through it, kind of not knowing what it was at the time, why I felt certain ways, understanding my anxiety, understanding what depression is. There was days where, I didn't even want to leave my bed. Like there was a lot of, hard days. But to put in the work to, get my mind right, how I view life itself, my focus level, not relying on certain things to, be happy, figuring all those and getting those answers and kind of looking within myself and being like, what makes me happy, and how am I going to, make decisions and make choices in my life to benefit, kind of my happiness, without being detrimental to myself, right? Like, so I think, understanding those answers, finding out those answers, and, being able to, just understand myself. It was a long process, but, eventually getting on the other side, was great, and I felt, I felt like, once I figured that out for myself, I could kind of see it in other people, right? I could see that anxiety and I could see that depression, in other athletes. And I was like, man, like having these conversations with them, trying to help them out, it meant a lot to me, especially when I was able to get through to people.
Mm-hmm. What changed? Like, obviously there's going to therapy and taking those steps, but beyond that, like there is you could go to therapy once a week, you can go 7 days a week or once a month, but there's those changes you have to make every day and like all your choices. What changed for you that helped you a lot?
Well, I think, like I said, understanding myself, I think that, I would try to, make choices that would make myself happy in the moment. But then, I look back at those decisions, whether it's a week or a month from then, and I'm like, man, I didn't like that. Like, I just try to fill a void that I was feeling, right then and there. And that was, those thoughts were led by, anxiety or depression, and just trying to fix myself at the moment instead of taking the long route and being like, this isn't just an on and off switch where I can just, fix myself, in a day. It takes time. It takes effort. Like you said, it takes, some therapy. The therapy was big for me. Meditation, all the things that, I did to, really, really try to get help and understand, what was going on. It was life-changing for me.
Did you notice it? And you said it, you saw it in your teammates, you saw it in players. Once you got to the other side and, took care of your mental health and you were feeling better mentally, did you realize how you weren't the only one and how common it is for just across the NBA alone? Yeah,
and especially when I put out that Players Tribune article, there was so many people that reached out to me and were like, man, like I felt like I was writing this myself. Like, I've had all these feelings, and, so many people came up to me or DM'd me or wrote me, emailed me, or like, man, I have mental health issues, and, your article was special because I could relate. And even seeing other athletes go through it with my own eyes and me figuring it out, I still didn't know how much it affected, the amount of people that, reached out to me.
How important was it when you got to Orlando? That's what helped. How candid, how transparent were you able to be with like the franchise, the front office on what you were dealing with?
It was hard because, the league's a tricky thing, man. Like I didn't want to go in there and, I was new to the team. I just got there, but, the therapist on the team was big for me. And obviously everything that, between, me and the therapist is confidential, even with the team. So it was great that the organization provided that because that really helped me. And it's tough. It's tough to be open, right? Like, and at that time, I still wasn't comfortable with talking about it. But yeah, having him helped me a lot.
And that's what I think of. People have their bad days, and someone's dealing with something. For you guys, for NBA players, for pro athletes of any sport, it's so tough because in the NBA, you have to be on 82 nights a year, let's say, minimum. So what was it like to deal with that? And then also you still have to watch out for your public perception, if that makes sense, because that's what I think of when an athlete goes through, everyone's like, you're making millions. Like, what can your issues be, right? Mm-hmm. Or whatever. You're playing a game. How bad can it be? But there is that pressure from the outside. There is that you always have to be on or always be, right when you're on the court, when you're walking into the arena, when you're in your day-to-day life, because you're an NBA player. You can't go to the corner store, get a bottle of water without someone recognizing you. So did that have a toll on it? Just like overall too, like when you're dealing with it, it's like there wasn't just that escape of like, all right, I could go to my job and escape. It's like, no, my job tonight is playing in front of 20,000 people. Right.
Yeah. And it's tough, no matter what you say, when people are watching you, there's a level of anxiety or worries, that come with that. It's just a natural build of a human being. Right. So if you have to perform 82 games, 82 times in a year, and you're going through things off the floor, it's hard to keep that shelled. So, people can see that. And in the game we play, you know, we're judged for it all the time, right? Like if you have a couple bad games, you know, the game is fleeting. You have 10 bad games, people say you suck. If you have 10 good games, people say you're great. So it's hard. You know, you're constantly judged on your performance, no matter what you're going through off the floor, family, friends, death, you know, anxiety, depression, like no matter what it is, you know, people are going to judge you, and that's the name of the game. I'm not saying that, you know, there's definitely perception to it. We have tons of perks in life, but that doesn't mean, you know, things are easy. So it's tough at times.
Does it feel good, like when you wrote that and put it out there? Because I'm sure like your teammates knew about it, but like for the world to know, and also that's big for just pro athletes in general. Like you show you're going through it. I know obviously Kevin Love's a big advocate for mental health. Same with DeMar DeRozan. There's guys in other leagues as well. Was that big when you wrote that, put it out, the Players Tribune article went out, to see the feedback you got? And then also, again, it's, even though we're in 2024 now, like breaking down that stigma of like mental health's health. It's not mental health. It's not physical health. It's health.
Right. It's health. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, taking care of your mind is just as important as taking care of your body, you know, if not more important. So when that article came out and I did get the feedback that I got, like it was great. Like it meant a lot to me. You know, I didn't know what kind of feedback that I would get back. You know, I'm sure that I had an idea of people, you know, reaching out to me and saying, you know, I didn't know you were going through that, blah, 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 you know what I mean? But I think, you know, the relatability that I had with a lot of people, that's what meant a lot to me. I was like, man, at least they know that they're not the only ones out here. And, you know, maybe they are, you know, now they have the confidence to go get some help.
An idea with him. Good dude. So the best thing, I got thrown on a text chain, how I got introduced. He was like, George, Michael, Carter Williams.
Wow.
Say what's up. I sent a text, and I like, you got to play it cool.
Of course.
You got to play it. Just like this guy is a former pro athlete, has a ton of people hitting him up, so I'm not going to be like going crazy.
Right.
But I just shot him a text like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. You let me know what works for you. Shot it back. George, appreciate it, man. I'll drive out to Watertown. Because also, he was in the area, and I'm like, dude, if you want to do Zoom, it's fine. Like, totally.
He's like, I'm coming in.
I'll come out. And I did a follow-up like, hey, just confirming this time Monday. He's like, sounds great. I'll be there. Showed up 15 minutes early. You never expect that from a pro athlete.
Wow.
Or like in general, a guest. I get it.
Wow.
And he's just the coolest dude.
Wow.
Texted me after, said thanks.
It came across in the interview, and I told you this off air, so I got to do it on air as well, so everyone knows here. But I think you do a tremendous job with your interview style. I told you this after Sam J,
Thanks,
but
man.
I just think you do a great job of having conversational style of talking to people, and that's why they open up to you the way they do.
Appreciate that a ton, man. It's funny because I walked away from that. I'm like, I wish I was a little more lax with him.
No.
But you know what he is? He as he was walking out, I'm like, I'd love to have you back on. We do Zoom. He's like, cool. And I was like, love to have you on, talk Celtics during the season. He's like, yeah. And so he's getting involved in his real estate investments. You guys could check out the full interview. That'll be on our YouTube channel soon enough. Be on Spotify as well. But everything he's involved in.
Yep.
And I think what's cool, and it was in the beginning of the convo, just asking him what he's up to now, where he's living. He's loving it in Orlando. It's a city connected with. It's where he found his happiness again, which he just spoke about was a struggle for him. And he's just enjoying slowing down.
Yeah.
Which you don't think about for these NBA guys. For him, he went to boarding school when he was 15, sleepaway school.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to get to Syracuse, and it was go since then. So for now, and I'm sure
Now
you
it's
can
like
relate.
slowing down.
He has 2 young kids, both younger than 7.
They'll slow you down.
And but he's enjoying just like doing nothing. Now it's starting to get of like, I need to do something.
Right.
But he's enjoying of like not needing to be on the go every day.
Well, I wonder if the GOAT Tom Brady feels the same way, because he turned 47. He turns 47 on August 3rd. And I just feel like he's slowing down too and enjoying life, even with young kids. Happy birthday to the GOAT, Tom Brady. I swear, if I was you, I'd be on an island somewhere with an umbrella in my drink. I wouldn't be taking selfies or posting anything on social media about my birthday and the love for my kids, although I love my kids. If I got Brady money, kids, you take a break for the day, okay? This is about daddy. This is about my birthday. I'd be on an island somewhere enjoying my damn self. That's what I'd be doing.
You know me, where I'd be.
Chasing summer.
I would find the pinnacle paradise. If I had the Tom Brady budget every birthday, I would just rotate different country, different beach, different lake, depending where it is, and be like, that's where I'm going. That's it every time.
Welcome to Chasing Summer has entered the chat.
That'll be the name of my autobiography I'm writing when I'm retired.
Oh.
Hey, he's Travis Thomas. I'm George Balekji. This is Boston has entered the chat from the PNC Bank studio. Appreciate you guys making us a part of your day. Wherever you listen to your podcast, please like, subscribe, rate, review. Wherever you're watching, Ness on YouTube, Ness on Twitch, hit the subscribe button as well. He's Double T. I'm GB. This is it for Boston's Enter the Chat. We'll see you guys another time. Peace.